Hello guys, today I'm going to show you the faults of the Stormtrooper armor and why an ODST is so much more advanced and better than a Stormtrooper. First of all, Stormtrooper armor is actually made out of a type of substance that actually sounds like the word plastic. It's called plastoid. What, technically speaking, same density as plaster, I think. Or it's a type of plastic that's meant to deflect lasers. But plastoid is not anything like any of the armor platings we have. It's only meant to deflect blaster bullets. A normal bullet will go right into that armor like nothing. It's not bulletproof. There's no such thing as bulletproof armor. So in the end, the edge on the ODST is his armor's actually bullet resistant, but it's made to last longer than the Stormtrooper armor. And I actually heard they are built to actually deflect Covenant weapons, which are mostly stronger weapons than what the Stormtroopers have. Not only that, they also carry knives and other weapons on them. What does a Stormtrooper carry? Maybe sometimes a bomb if they're lucky. Maybe a small sidearm, but never a knife. Which would actually relatively be a good idea for them to do. That's the main fault in Stormtrooper armor that I actually would point out. That the ODST or Marine have already gotten rid of that fault. Now another problem. Somebody saying a blaster is better than a normal gun. Ho 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 ho! The blaster is technically a laser gun. It maybe goes a little faster than a laser gun fires it, but it still goes just as, but the laser shot, the blaster bolt goes just as slow as a normal laser. May seem to go faster, but actually a bullet goes 2 times that speed. So, let's say these two decided to shoot with one another. His bullet would hit him before he even had a chance to before his gun even fired. Even when the laser shot is moving, all he has to do is just dodge it like that, and then fire another shot at him. And even then, if he gets close enough, he can just knife him anyways. Now let's talk about the relay weapon method. Now I'm going to show you the type of knife of Covenants that some of these soldiers, ODSTs, will use. Now it depends on what kind of ODST, mostly. But sometimes the knife will be like that, kind of. Or it'll be bigger if they're the type of ODST who likes to get in deep into the Covenant. Their knife might be that big, which is almost machete size. Which I think this is called a Gurkha knife or something. But it's a pretty good weapon. Now what would a Stormtrooper have for a sidearm, you may ask? Well, if he's lucky, a small blaster pistol. Probably a very tiny gun to replace his rifle, which in the end would be a dumb move to do anyways. You're better off using the gun you're already holding anyways. Blasters are not very good weapons, actually. Now, I just don't like blasters, period, because I think they look weird. Now let's look at the armor. The guy looks like... Now, I picked my favorite Sand Trooper for a good reason, because he looks a little better. The only other trooper type I actually think looks better than the Sand Trooper is the Mud Trooper. But I knew that this guy's probably different from any Stormtrooper anyway, so I left him out. But this was the coolest trooper I could pick. And I wasn't bringing up a Death Trooper, because technically speaking, a Death Trooper is more of a Spartan than he is a ODST. But there will be another movie where I compare those two, which you will probably be downhearted when I review it. But either way, if these two were to fight for the Stormtrooper, it'd result in his own demise. And it'd be a short, so he'd be a short life, it would be a short life for him. And a long life for the ODST, who would just walk up to him after he was downed. Even if the bullet didn't kill him right away, the ODST would finish him off with a single knife stab. And they're very strong, so an ODST actually has actually some of the augmentations a Spartan goes through. He gets at least an injection, which gives him, it's not as much of a dosage as a Spartan gets, but it's enough to upgrade his strength quite a bit. Now, I can't tell you everything about the training, but compared to Stormtrooper training, these guys go through harder training. And before that, they were already Marines. So, yeah. Another thing would like to point out, is these guys have experience in warfare. Complete experience. Now, I'm basing the Stormtrooper here not off the clone troopers, but off the idea of a Stormtrooper who's been recruited. So in other words, yeah, this is not an experienced soldier who's standing right next to him. Now, if I had a clone out, there might be a better chance, but I'm not going to bring out the clone unless it's requested. And this video gets about 10 likes, I will probably do a clone versus ODST review, and I'll give you guys an idea who would actually win in that battle. Either way, the Stormtrooper loses because of his inexperience in combat. ODST, his experience fighting the Covenant are much stronger than a Stormtrooper. So, do the math, of course, because the Stormtrooper is about the same strength as a Grunt, technically speaking. Which a Grunt, boy, I wish I had brought that character out. Give me a second to grab a Grunt. A Grunt is actually this size up to a human. That's actually very accurate. They're this big, up to a person. So actually, they're quite easy to kill, but they're probably about the same strength as you-know-who. They're about the same strength as a Stormtrooper in design, maybe a little stronger, but either way, yeah, that would be the end of that Stormtrooper in one battle alone. Now, for those of you who probably side with the Empire, remember, it's not me pitting the whole Star Wars universe up against Halo. I'm just pitting a soldier up against a soldier here. In fact, that's how I'm going to do it with all of my reviews. But either way, if any of you think that the review here was kind of unfair, I am sorry. But I know a Stormtrooper is probably not going to stand a chance. So, sorry Stormtrooper, you have died. And of course, the ODST stands triumphant over the Stormtrooper. That's it for today. Comment and subscribe.